Hey guys, this time around I wanted to talk to you about your final historiographic essay and give you sort of an analogy, a little story, a parable, if you will, to kind of help you understand what it is you're setting out to do. I don't want you to develop an argument. I don't want you to do a research paper and tell me about X. What I want you to do is called a literature review. There's a bunch of videos in the instructor office that talk about literature review. And hopefully after this little short video, you'll understand better what you're going to be doing. I think sometimes when we talk about the capstone project and that this is kind of a stepping stone to the capstone project, you get hung up on the notion of having to build your own argument and the whole why question thing and everything else. I think that's confusing to all of you. But it's necessary because if you're going to do your capstone and do it well, what you need to do is propose a new and or slightly different argument than has been proposed about your capstone topic in the past. How do you do that? Well, the first step to that is you have to understand what's been said before. You have to do a literature review. You have to understand where previous historians agree and disagree. At this step, you're not even looking at the primary sources at all. You're looking at the scholarly secondary sources. Okay, so what do I mean by this? What I mean by this is if you think about your capstone topic as you sitting down around a picnic table with a group of historians who have written about your topic, whatever it is. Somebody's doing Agent Orange in Vietnam. Somebody else is doing amphibious operations in the Pacific. Somebody else is doing the Battle of Britain, and there's a number of other topics. You're sitting down with people who have written about this topic from the historical community before. And the first thing you have to understand is that their conversation has been going on before you sat down. And in order for you to make an intelligent contribution to their discussion, you have to say something new and or different. So your first thing is you have to summarize the discussion that they've had up to this point. That's the historiographic essay. That's where you point out where everybody's agreed and where everybody's disagreed. So that when you lay out your thesis, your answer to the topic, and you're not doing that this term, you're only doing the first part of this. You're telling people what has been said previously, where people agree and disagree. Because then later, not this term, later, you would lay out your argument, what you think explains the event and why it happened or how it happened. At that point, what you don't want to hear from anybody is, well, Bob said that 5 years ago. Or, well, Mary said that 25 years ago. What you want to hear from people is, I haven't thought of it quite that way before. Gee, that's an interesting combination of previous arguments in a way that makes sense. And the only way you can do that is to do an effective historiographic essay or a literature review. If you look at every journal article out there, well, not every, most of the good journal articles out there, they've got what they call a trash can footnote in those journal articles. Or if you look at the introductions or the first chapters of books, oftentimes they'll go through the previous historiography on the topic and lay it all out. so that it puts their argument in the context of this ongoing picnic table conversation of historians that people come into and go out of all the time. But they come into it knowing what the previous comments have been, so that when they say something, they get, gee, that's an interesting thought. Or, we haven't thought of it that way before. As opposed to, Bob said that 5 years ago. So that's what you're trying to do with this essay. You're not telling me, why such and such happened. You're telling me what everybody else said about why such and such happened, and that this is where they agree and this is where they disagree. You can evaluate. I expect you to analyze and evaluate. And at the end of your paper, if you really, 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 really want to, you might say, I don't think they've done a good job here. I think there's another answer, and this might be it. Period. Sort of is the last sentence in your paper. Do not set out to do that. If you set out to do that, you will fail this paper. I am going to be absolutely heartless. You can be the best writer and propose the best argument in the history of humanity, and I will fail you because you didn't do a historiographic essay, you didn't do a literature survey, you didn't do what I told you to do. Okay? I can't be any more blunt than that. If you build an argument, you will fail. Your thesis for this paper essentially is something along the line of, historians agree about why the English Civil War happened here, here, and here. Period. And historians disagree about why the English Civil War happened here, here, and here. Period. 2 sentences. If you're really skillful, you can do it in 1. But it's historians agree, A, B, and C. Historians disagree, 1, 2, 3. All right? Does everybody have that? Please acknowledge this video, because I don't want any, well, I didn't understand what you meant, Doc. Clear? Got it. Sorry if I'm coming across hard with this, but every term I deal with the same problem. And every term, I have people write argumentative essays after giving them a video very much like this. So don't do it. Thank you. Have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.